I kept trying to come up with a less vicious tag for this video and I couldn't. I recently came across an interesting dimension of what kind of perfumes I can't resist to buy, even though I do know that the usage of them is going to be fairly limited and low, but it's just too good or too bad. Like, you make it up. Let me show you what I'm talking about. We are going to talk about perfumes that are so vicious and so predatory that it's kind of, you know nothing good is coming. You know they might smother you, you know they might kill you, they might get rid of the rest of the people who are in the room, but you just can't resist. You're just drawn to them. So they have this conflicting juxtaposition of usually some kind of spiciness and or muskiness and or sweetness, and some kind of note or accord that is just piercing or disturbing or uncomfortable. And that's what makes them irresistible all at the same time. These are not the perfumes of comfort. These are yet they contain a very demonic allure. And I want to start with the perfume that started this whole kind of idea, something that I bought blindly, something that I didn't like when I tried it for the first time, and something that I kept torturing myself with until I fatally and irresistibly fell in love with it. This is Serge Lutens Fille de Joie. I heard a variety of translations that is kind of the son of happiness. I'm not sure. Serge Lutens perfumes are always very enigmatic, and there's a lot of coded language there, which I absolutely love. Like in the way they are like a very esoteric without being kitschy or on your nose, you know, tarot cards kind of things. So I have a whole video about Serge Lutens. If you wanna learn more about what the brand is all about, how it came about, and what kind of perfumes they have, I'll leave a link below. But this particular one, Fille de Joie, is a sweet, zesty, but sweet and animalic jasmine. I've smelled so many jasmine perfumes over the years. It's one of the most popular notes in the perfumery. It's everywhere, nearly the same as rose. And yet I haven't quite found anything quite like this. This is a weird combination of these sad and melancholic and yet like kind of smothering musks as Serge Lutens does them as a brand, and yet the sweetness and the lavishness and kind of the melting nature, the honey-like nature of this jasmine make them go together oddly in a very harmonious way. So this sweet, almost delectable jasmine, there's something definitely gourmand about this combination. It just kind of lures you in, it softens you up, and kind of a little bit pushes you to the ground, almost getting you into this like narcotic sweet coma, and then it starts just stabbing you, or I don't know, or like just slowly smothering you with this odd musky animalic piercing note that just keeps kind of like drilling into your nose. It has a lot of diffusion, even though perfumes like that, especially if it's sweet musks, they tend to sit close on the skin. This one, oddly enough, has a lot of this kind of wavy behavior. When you feel it, then you forget about it, then a wave comes in and you feel it again. So it moves a lot in space. I am sure you can overdo it, but when it comes to perfumes of this predatory nature, it's hard to stop yourself because there's something about them that just keeps whispering in your ear, put on more, put on more, put on more. So yeah, this will get me idea for the video because I've been on and off, in and out of love with this perfume for so many months that it's exhausting. It's like never ending, I hate you, I love you kind of saga. Another one that is hated by many by the same brand but beloved by me is Serge Lutens Vitriol Dule. It's a vicious carnation. And again, when you just smell it out of the box and it's kind of left over, it's such a soft, powdery carnation flower. It's just so demure and comfortable, but the opening is just so austere and like it's not bitter in the way that colognes can be. It just has this sharp knife, like just cuts you through. And you have to survive it until that softer, more powdery floral allure opens up to you eventually. It's very, dare I say, kind of BDSM kind of thing. The pleasure comes after much, much suffering here. And yet I adore it. I feel that it just speaks to my soul. It has thorns. It's edgy, it's dangerous. But there is a soft landing with this one. So Vitriol Dule by Serge Lutens. Highly, highly recommend. Especially if you like non-trivial florals. Something that is not, that's been overdone to death like jasmines and roses are. Talking of roses. Obviously roses can be very predatory. It's one of the most, if not the most popular accord in the perfume industry overall. And there are, I don't know, tens of thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands now, I don't know, definitely thousands of rose-centric fragrances of all kinds. The three that I find to be the most predatory out of my collection actually all come in decants because I can't find this one, and these two I can't quite pull the trigger to buy. Alright, let's start from the one that I just covet and can't figure out how to get. Thanks to my subscriber who sent me her travel because otherwise I would be out of it, is Tom Ford Rose de Russie. A limited edition. I'm not sure if it's a trio or quintet. There are several roses that Tom Ford released. I think it was a year ago or so. And Rose de Russie was unapologetically my favorite. It happened right, I think, a few months before the war started between Russia and Ukraine, and for political reasons, they either took it completely off the shelves or renamed it where they could legally, as far as I know. So Rose de Russie is very hard to find in its original form. Allegedly, Tom Ford is trying to re-release it under a different name. I'm not sure if the rumor is true. So this is the kind of rose leather, zesty, almost spicy scent that I dig. It's bright, it's loud, it's kind of like nouveau riche is new money, and yet it's just so vibrant, so full of this aggressive, beautiful energy. Rose de Russie, I used up a sample that I had. I absolutely loved it. I'm so happy to have half of the travel size. I'm devastated. I don't know where and when we'll be able to get that one, so I'm not going to spend too much time on this one. But if you can put your hands on the Rose de Russie by Tom Ford, this is one of those. It's if you're thinking about what is like a rose leather scent that's similar to it that you can compare with, I would compare it with, in a very detached way, to Rose Cuir by Frederic Malle. But there, that one is much greener, is much more annoying, I would say. um, Rose Cuir by Frederic M I can only wear in small doses, and it's just annoyingly long lasting. That's where I would say like the perfume that lasts that long becomes a stink. It's just too much. Rose Cuir is that minus the greenness of it, a little bit heavier, sweeter, more balanced notes. It's more hardy in its sense, but it has the same kind of latex leather feel to it with the rose, kind of with the spicy sweet rose. It is my guilty pleasure. I love this one. I don't care if people love it or hate it. It's just so vibrant and aggressive. Love it. Okay, another one. Actually, now that we're talking about Frederic Malle, Un Rose by Frederic Malle. This one, according to people, is very much central around the red wine and tannins. That if you love red wine, you probably will be well positioned to do a more thorough comparison than I can. I'm not really a connoisseur of red wine. But again, it's like a very thick, polished, flat metal surface to me. It has a little bit of these kind of green soil almost feel. There's a little bit of a underworld feel to it, very dark green. Maybe is it, again, I don't know, is it leather or is it patchouli? But it's very ominous in a way. This is a very bright perfume with a lot of sillage, but it just kills me. It's something in here, to me, it's so sour and so musky that I can barely breathe with it. Yet that rosy allure somewhere in the background, that's what kind of makes it more bearable. Un Rose by Frederic Malle, definitely not something I can wear regularly, but every once in a while, thanks to my subscriber, I have a decant. I can try to pull it out. And the third rose that is the most wearable probably out of the three that I just showed you, but still in my view is very predatory because it's very bright, it's very demanding of your attention. And opinions do differ about this one. This is Serge Lutens Fille de Berlin. Now you can buy it in a variety of packaging and even limited edition that is gorgeous, and I really want to buy it. I'm trying to restrain. This is more, to me, a wearable version of a predatory rose, because it's not as niche, I would say, as Frederic Malle Un Rose or Tom Ford Rose de Russie. It's just a little bit more bearable. It's more berry-like. It has a little bit more of a jammy notes. It has a little bit of this Bulgarian rose oil vibrancy. And yet it's so flamboyant that it's kind of like in your face. Probably the least predatory per se out of all of the fragrances I'm going to show you. So if you're just looking for an entrance, that it's more or less safe, safe, community safe to try. Fille de Berlin by Serge Lutens, an iconic fragrance, is niche, it's posh, it's has all kinds of brand value associated with it. Their bottles, in my view, are very, very stylish. So I would highly recommend that maybe if this is the least organic or harmonious category for you to try, maybe Fille de Berlin could be your entrance to this underworld. To me, it's both aggressive and cheerful. It's kind of this like laughter on the border of insanity, just a little bit. And if with Rose de Russie, it's clearly just my inability to bear the price or find a more affordable second-hand bottle of Rose de Russie by Tom Ford. With the other two, there's a reason why I'm not buying either yet, because I do have a full-size bottle of Juliette Has a Gun Mad Madame. This is also a rose, an animalic, zesty rose. Kind of sounds similar to Un Rose by Frederic Malle and Fille de Berlin by Serge Lutens, and yet this has this oomph factor of dementia. It's just so out there. Mad Madame adds a little bit of a comforting, kind of syrupy black currant and raspberry jam to the mix, but it also has castoreum, it has musk, it has moss and patchouli, which just give it this incredible edge. It's just on the border of mania. Just again, it's Fille de Berlin kind of cranked to the 9s or 10s to that matter. It's just so sweet and jammy and almost poppy and popular because of that, because it's so jammy. And the raspberry, the rose, the black currant, it's all this adorable sweetness that is just hammered by insanity of how animalic and these like underworld patchouli and moss, this kind of the risen from the dead kind of flavor that it's giving to this jammy concoction at the heart. It has the most delicious contrast of like decay of sanity and adorable cuteness. Love it. I don't wear it that often, but I love it. Alright, something just maybe to be on the contrast. A very put together, sensual, boiled, sweet musk with black pepper. In a way, to me, oh, I didn't tell you what it is. It's Rouge Bunny Rouge. That, by the way, you can sample all of this from me, from my own stash, from these very bottles if you want to. I'll put links down below where you can get the samples of these, because like some of these are so rare, it's very hard to find anywhere else. Rouge Bunny Rouge Incognito. To me, Incognito, for almost a year, I only felt that was a black pepper perfume to me. And then I realized I was missing a whole dimension to it. So this dry, a little stern black pepper and kind of dark spices are balanced at the heart by the rather animalic, sweet, boiled musk. Think Musk Ravageur by Frederic Malle or Narciso Rodriguez. These kind of musks. They're very sweet and skin-like. And the predatory nature of it is more like being, like losing a game of chess to be eaten alive. That's what I'm thinking about. It's very weird. But yeah, if there were cannibalic chess tournaments, I would definitely think that this could be the scent that accompanied the pressure that is dispersed in the air in every match. It's both put together because of, black pepper and the spice. It kind of makes you think of classic masculinity almost in a way. This kind of like put together, dry, reserved, thoughtful. But the boiled down sweet musks there, almost carnivorous. That's just kind of like slowly chewing somewhere. Little by little chewing at you. So it's both cerebral and very sensual in this deep and dark way. Incognito by Rouge Bunny Rouge. Cannibalic chess games. Here you go. Something that I would probably call more of a bad boy next door scent is John Varvatos Dark Rebel. Many of you know about it, no need to reintroduce. Rumor has it it's been discontinued. Is that true? Because that's silly. It's smoky, sweet prunes. It's pretty much, if you ever ate dried prunes, that's it. It's very sweet, dried prunes with smoke. Some people associate that with hookah bars. To me, this is like a black leather jacket, but a very sweet, demure smile. It's gourmand, but it is smoky. Stern. It's not stern. Actually, it's anything but elegant. There's nothing elegant about this perfume in my view. I think it's very basic, but in this kind of cartoonish bad boy way. Like, I don't find that this scent is that sophisticated or it has a lot of complexity to it, but it is what it is, you know. Like, you see that guy in the bar and you just know. It's like, yep, bad news. Bad to the bone. And that's what it is. It's kind of classic in that sense. Reliably mischievous. So I had to talk about that because this is your like Tuesday night. I had a hard day at work and I'm on my third drink and here he comes. That kind of predatory. There's nothing demonic about it, but it's still has its own story. Okay, maybe just to complete the story, if we are talking about something much less charming and much more dangerous, I would say that Montale Black Musk is a way to go if we're talking about, rather than a charmer in a leather jacket, if we're talking about like some serious and kind of scary characters where you are seriously concerned about where this is going, what's going to happen. Does somebody have a knife? What's behind the veil of those eyes? It's kind of transitioning to the territory of warlike. The Black Musk has, to me, this very smoky, thick black leather scent. It's almost forbidding, and I love wearing that because people don't expect it on a girl like me. And it always settles them a little bit. It just kind of settles the scores. I get at least a bit of a thoughtful pause before anybody dares approach me when I wear it. It's almost like a protection that you carry around yourself. It's doomed. Somehow this is just this dark and brooding character that's just doomed. And there is absolutely no salvation. So Black Musk by Montale, very predatory, but in this kind of almost impersonal, non-smiling, non-charming way. And I do love it for it sometimes. It just does the job. And something a little bit more refined, a little bit more of a kind of boss bitch kind of vibe here is Soir d'Orient by Sisley. Sisley makes some of the meanest shippers on the market. They are kind of known for unapologetically buttoned up, bitchy kind of shippers. They're not easy to wear. but they have like an ardent army of fans. And the most wearable and fabulous and mean shipper from them that I own is Soir de Orient. The other ones are either a bit too musky for me or just so forbidding that I can't survive them. They're just too bitter, too stern, too much. But again, if you're looking for kind of the CEO level of fragrance, where you just go into war against 3 corporations at once as a small business owner, that's something to wear daily, maybe even nightly. To me, the spices here that surrounding this very stern, solid shipper accord of very bitter, sour patchouli and moss, the spices make it a little bit more thoughtful. It's kind of as if wearing, I don't know, all leather or very cut, crisp clothes. You threw on just a soft, velvety jacket, or like just a cover on. It adds a little bit of this mystique and softness to it, while it still remains rather boss bitch kind of fragrance. Yeah, like I can't describe it any better than that. It is for the go-getters. It is when you have to pull yourself together and make some tough cuts, some difficult decisions. You have to. There's no way around it. That's the fragrance for it. It's predatory in this very business-like fashion. And I guess another good example of that, somewhat different, but I would call them spiritual cousins, though the scents are, they're not identical, is iconic from the 80s, Knowing by Estee Lauder. A lot of people who smell this for the first time immediately think of their grandmas. It's the power suit, it's the 80s, it's loud, unapologetic, screaming perfumes. To me, kind of the same story, just a little bit more of a vintage vibe. And also, if you prefer more of a classic shipper composition compared to Soir de Orient. What I like specifically about Knowing compared to all other vintage shippers is that this is a modern version. This is not vintage. Even the modern version, even though it's very in your face at first, it's kind of like wakes you up immediately. The dry down, sniff your skin like 30 minutes later. There's some magic that opens up there. There's like a softer touch to it that is both fruity, delicious, and just a little bit spicy. It's just something really interesting happens with it on the skin. Even if you buy it like tomorrow in a gas station or whatever, like my bottle is new, there's nothing super special about this bottle. I would say that allegedly the older vintage Knowing by Estee Lauder was a little bit more complex in the opening. I would give it that. The opening is like a punch in the face, really. As I told you, these perfumes are predatory. They are not for faint-hearted. But yet there is something in them that you're like a little bird watching cobra rise in front of you. So another boss bitch kind of fragrance. Both of them I would say are 100% unisex. It's just their nature. It's like kickboxing in a bottle. But there is a softer landing with the Knowing, and that's what I appreciate. And I also like that it doesn't go into this sour, spoiled, bitter oil that a lot of vintage shippers tend to have. So it stays, I would say, fairly clean and modern in the way that it smells. That said, oddly enough, I feel if you can already deal with classic shippers, something that you absolutely should try are zombie lilies. This is Gold by Donna Karan. For some reason, when it was released, it was considered a flop. because instead of being a run-of-the-mill designer perfume, something sweet and syrupy, she created a true niche representation of white and tiger lilies. These are the lilies that died, came back from the dead, and died again, and came back from the dead the second time, the sequel. I would highly recommend you try it either if you're a big fan of the lilies, like I am, or if you're already fairly comfortable with rich colognes and classic shippers. Because for an untrained nose, this might be hard to bear. These are zombie lilies. These is the smell of decay. This is the smell of stale water. This is the smell of animalic green, kind of neon nuclear mold that is covered in lily flowers at the same time. Delightful, just absolutely delightful for a zombie. So if I was a zombie, that would be my fragrance. Again, there's some purity and poetry in the fact that in the scent that it's so full of decay and animalic neon green ratchetness. You get this poetic, clean, kind of singing lily. 2 in the same bottle. True niche scent. If you can find it, you'll likely to find it for fairly cheap unless it's already gone. So there is this, like, some perfumes are like that. They're not appreciated when they're out. Then they're sold for like peanuts, and then when they're gone, people are willing to pay almost anything to get them. To me, this is a true niche scent. This is something that I would expect to find by Buveur. This is something that the brands that do a lot of hooliganism, you know, that do a lot of kind of these scary, dark storytelling that could do. Zombie Lily, Gold by Donna Karan. Love it. And I guess we're gonna finish with my favorite demonic Lucifer will love it type of perfume. It's not quite predatory because once you graduate to that level, there is no resistance. I think predatory in my mind still assumes some kind of interaction with the other side. This is just all-encompassing terror. This is just surrendering to inevitable, to the doom. It's the doom itself. It's so demonic. This is Lily d'Imaginaires, imaginary liquids in translation, a French brand that I think does a lot of kind of this medieval, it seems very medieval to me, medieval styling of their perfumes. And the Buveur du Vin, if I'm pronouncing it correctly, and again, I'll leave the names and the links below so you can get yourself a sample, is their take on spicy, smoky leather. To me, this is just, it's demonic kiss in a bottle. To me, it's much more dark and smoky than it's leatherish. I have other scents that are way more representative of what a leather couch smells like, or leather purse, or, you know, like a leather seats in a new car. This is not that. This is something entirely different, and to me it's the dark, semi-sweet smokiness. Trying to figure out what gives it this subtle sweetness in addition to the doom. and I probably sandalwood, is what they mention on the website. I don't know. It's very hard to describe. And I actually want to say that most of perfumes by Lilique d'Imaginaires, they are kind of hard to describe. They are quite well blended, and they're not these like Instagram niche, as I call it, when just like 3 notes and all 3 of them are obvious, and it's just kind of blah, you know, like yeah, sure, here's jasmine, here's pear, here's woodsy notes. This is what niche perfumes are all about. Fairly difficult to dissect, but when it comes to associations, to me, this is the end of Predatory. This is when the teeth are going to the neck. That's where the game is over. Once I smell this, I pretty much feel like I'm becoming the black hole, all consuming and all knowing and all destroying. So Buveur de Vent, if you want to unleash your inner demons. Alright, last words. I'm fairly surprised that I have so many. I had to do 2 rounds of weeding out candidates because I have way more to show you of this kind, and I tried to leave only the ones that had that very, very nature, that contrasting, alluring, dangerous, and almost painful concoction of notes in order to keep this kind of true to the concept. That said, in the process of weeding out perfumes and kind of coming up with the best of the best of the best for the Predatory fragrances, I have a lot that I love as much. They just might be not as I almost want to say offensive. They might be not as bright, vivid, and aggressive, but you know, those that are more silently alluring and dangerous. It's kind of like this beautiful line after it caught its prey. Still dangerous, but it's more content. It's more relaxed. It's just kind of enjoying the sun. If you would like to hear more about perfumes like that, let me know. I might record you another series of the Predatory perfumes, but the ones that are so quietly alluring, you know, the danger that is currently taking a nap. Let me know in the comments below, and I also would like to hear which perfumes in your collection do you find predatory. What do you wear when you need to feel this healthy, or maybe, I don't know, aggression, healthy, unhealthy, it's one of the primary emotions, when you need to kind of pull through, or you want your defense systems to be all up. I can't wait to hear what kind of perfumes give you that feeling and that kind of deliver that function for you. I am genuinely surprised that I have that many. I did not realize that. I thought I was more of a like elegant florals type of person. Apparently not. Apparently not. Interesting. You learn a lot. You learn a lot in the process of trying to explain something to others. Thank you so much for watching. Please like if you haven't had a chance yet. Subscribe so you don't miss the next videos. And if you did so, I'll see you in the new one very soon. Bye.